My name is Freddie Lewis, and when you've lived long enough, you begin to understand that basketball was never really just about basketball. It was about people. It was about opportunity. It was about relationships. It was about learning lessons that stay with you long after the final buzzer sounds. I grew up in Huntington, West Virginia. Like a lot of kids, I had dreams. I loved the game. I loved competing. I loved the challenge of trying to become better every single day. But I wasn't the biggest player. I wasn't the strongest player. And I certainly wasn't the tallest player. There were plenty of people who looked at me and saw what I lacked. What they didn't see was how badly I wanted to learn. You see, when you're not the biggest player on the court, you have two choices. You can spend your life focused on what you don't have, or you can maximize what you do have. I chose the second one. I learned to study the game. I learned to observe. I learned to anticipate. I learned to think. Because basketball rewards intelligence just as much as talent, maybe more. As a point guard, my responsibility wasn't just to score. My responsibility was to understand everything happening on the floor. I always believed that great point guards see the game before it happens. Anybody can react to what's happening right now. The best point guards understand what's about to happen next. When I crossed half court, I wasn't just looking at my defender. I was looking at all 10 players. Who had the hot hand? Who was tired? Who had a mismatch? Who needed confidence? Who needed the ball? Who needed encouragement? That's what being a point guard means. You're part coach, part teacher, part leader, part teammate. The position isn't about controlling the game, it's about serving the game. And if I could give young players one piece of advice today, it would be this: learn how to think. Everybody wants better handles. Everybody wants a better jump shot. Everybody wants to dunk. But very few people spend time learning how to read the floor, study spacing, watch film, understand timing, learn your teammates. Because basketball has always been a game of relationships. The best point guards don't just know where people are, they know where people want to be. And when you learn that skill, you don't just become a better player, you become a better leader. That's something basketball taught me, and it's something I've carried with me my entire life. When I arrived in Indiana, none of us knew exactly what the future would hold. The Pacers were still building their identity. We weren't inheriting tradition, we were creating it, brick by brick, practice by practice, season by season. We were building something together, and I was blessed to share that journey with some incredible men: Roger Brown, Mel Daniels, George McGinnis, Bob Nedelicki, Billy Keller, Darnell Hillman, Donnie Freeman, Coach Bobby Leonard. Those weren't just teammates, those were brothers. When people talk about championships, they often focus on individuals. But championships are built by trust. They're built by sacrifice. They're built by people willing to put the team above themselves. The 1972 championship team understood that. Every one of us knew our role. Every one of us cared more about winning than recognition. And that's why those memories remain so special all these years later. What we built together still matters, not because of trophies, not because of banners, but because of the example, because of the standard, because of the culture. When people talk about Indiana Pacers basketball today, they're talking about something that generations of players, coaches, staff, and fans have contributed to. I'm grateful I had the opportunity to help build a small part of that story. I was fortunate enough to be part of 3 championship teams, fortunate enough to serve as team captain, fortunate enough to be named playoff MVP in 1972. Fortunate enough to play alongside some of the greatest players the game has ever seen. And when my ABA career ended, I was the franchise leader in games played, assists, and free throws made. Those accomplishments mean a great deal to me. But what means even more is knowing that Indiana embraced me. This community welcomed me, supported me, believed in me. And long after my playing days ended, Indiana continued to feel like home. That's something I'll never take for granted. People sometimes ask me about seeing number 14 in the rafters. And the truth is, I've never viewed it as being about a number. I've never viewed it as being about recognition. What matters most to me is knowing that the story is remembered, that future generations understand where this franchise came from, that they understand who helped build it. Because banners don't just celebrate victories, they preserve history. They connect generations. They remind young people that before they arrived, somebody helped build the road they're walking on today. This July, I'll celebrate my 82nd birthday. And reaching this stage of life gives you a different perspective. You begin to realize that what matters most isn't the statistics. It's the relationships, the memories, the friendships, the impact, the lives you've touched along the way. At this stage of my life, I think less about accomplishments and more about gratitude. Less about achievements and more about service. Less about what I received and more about what I was able to give. Of course, I would be honored one day to look up and see number 14 hanging in the rafters alongside my teammates and friends. Not because of what it would say about me, but because of what it would say about us, about an era, about a brotherhood, about a group of men who believed in one another and helped build something that continues to inspire people more than 50 years later. That would be a special moment, not for Freddie Lewis, for the entire Pacers family. But whether that day comes or not, I already consider myself blessed, because basketball gave me more than I ever could have imagined. It gave me purpose, it gave me friendships, it gave me memories, and it gave me Indiana. To the next generation, I hope you remember this. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too small. Don't let anyone tell you what you can't become. Work harder, study deeper, think differently, become a student of your craft. Some of the greatest advantages in life aren't physical, they're mental, they're emotional, they're found in preparation, they're found in character, they're found in learning how to make everyone around you better. That's what basketball taught me, and that's what I hope it teaches you. If my story inspires one young player to believe in themselves, if it inspires one point guard to think a little deeper, if it reminds one fan of the people who helped build this franchise, then that's a legacy I can be proud of, no matter what happens next. Thank you, Indiana. Thank you, Pacers fans. Thank you to my teammates. Thank you for allowing a kid from Huntington, West Virginia, to become part of your story. I've worn a lot of jerseys in my life, but only one of them became home. And for that, I will always be grateful. I'll always be proud to call myself an Indiana Pacer. I am Freddie Lewis. 3-time ABA champion, 1972 ABA playoff MVP. Indiana Pacers all-time ABA leader in games played, assists, and free throws made. Team captain, ABA all-time team point guard, champion, teammate, mentor, and forever a Pacer. Let me hear you yell one time. Yes, sirs. Yes, sirs. Yes, sirs. Thank you.